Okay, baseheads. It is your boy, the OG Soda Pop Kid, coming to you direct. It's been a minute before a minute since I made a video. Okay, and there's some stuff I was working on, and a couple of things backfired on me. Okay, and something else I was working on as well. So I'm gonna let y'all know what I've been working on, and maybe you guys got some insight on what can happen here. Alright, so we're going to start on this hood. The last I mentioned, I was having my mechanic, Ben Hank, modify some brackets on this hood so I can put some hood shocks on. Okay? And so, let me take it back to 2017-18. I had put wood on top of the actual hood is what I did, because the Delta 88 hood had like an indentation in it that went like that. You know what I mean? And whenever I would put graphics on it, you know, because it wasn't just straight and smooth, sometimes it would peel up off of the little corner that was on the Delta. Plus, it had a ugly looking stripe going down it, like a metal stripe going down it. And once that got taken off, you know, little holes was in it. So I wanted to stack some wood on top of it so it would just be smooth across. Okay, and once I did that, it made it heavy, like really heavy. Now this hood is heavy as I don't know what. This hood got to weigh, when it's off, at least 250 to 300 pounds, man. It took 3 grown men to actually carry this thing and put it on whenever it got modified by PJ Moore out there in Ashtabula, Ohio. Okay? So, it became too heavy. So the original hinges that was on this hood, the original ones, okay, springs, the hood was actually too heavy for them and bent them. One day after a competition, it actually bent them off to the side. Okay, so it wouldn't hold the hood up either, and I had to put something up under to hold it up. And then one day it bent and it shut, and I had somebody help me bend it back just to shut it, and I was on my way out to PJ's after the contest anyway. So, when I went out there to get something else done. I wasn't sure, I can't remember what it was, but I showed him what had happened to those springs. And not only that, the hood had twisted over and bent up my transmission to the windshield wipers as well. So when I went out there, we took the hood off and he made me these hinges, okay, back then. See those? PJ had made them. Now PJ is pretty gifted when it comes to modifying. He made me those back then, and it took 3 or 4 of us to lift this thing up and put them on there. And they've been on there ever since. Now, there was some hood shocks on this that I had brought, the same size I had brought for my trunk back here. Now granted, it's a long story why I got these on the trunk, but as you see, they hold the trunk up. Now these here is 45 pounds a piece. So that's 180 pounds of lift right there. There's 2 on each side. Okay. So, but before I had those on here, this hood is also heavy. You take those off, this hood is heavy too. It's just not as heavy as the trunk. My fault. This trunk lid is heavy too. It's just not as heavy as the hood one. The hood one is quite a bit heavier. Okay, so as you see, 180 pounds holds this up. Okay, so I got those from Advanced Auto Parts a while ago, and then they ended up wearing out, and I ended up getting 4 more of them. They had the gas or something that wore out on them within a few years. They wore out, and then it was easy to lift it up but it wouldn't hold it up. It would come back down, and it wouldn't just slam down. It would just ease its way back down. So then I got some new ones, and they hold it up. Okay, they hold it up. It's nice to push it down when you pop it. Yeah, they work pretty good. Okay, and these are the same ones that I had on the front at the time, and no, they would not hold this hood up, and the hood still was heavy, but not as heavy. They helped a little bit. PJ had fabricated them on, and at the time, we could not find anything stronger than those. I didn't know where to look. Now they got websites that do have them hood shocks that can hold up like 400 pounds, which is 200 pounds per shock. I found this website, but this is the problem. So I got Ben to fabricate me some brackets here to hold some shocks up on here. And I was pretty excited he came up with this. I technically thought in my head I had another idea before he came up with that. The original piece of metal here that PJ Moore, I was thinking about an L bracket that got welded off of that right there. It would come along the side and get welded up against the side myself. It would have actually pushed the shocks over on each side. So they poke out. And you figure that should have worked because those are strong. But you figure that should work. But once we put the shocks on now, here goes two of the shocks. Now, those shocks in the back are 30 inches long. You know me, with a pretty long stroke. And they're 45 pounds a piece, which they don't sell those ones. You can't find those ones right there anymore. But they got these ones that are 43 pounds a shock. And they're like 27 inches long or something like that. Okay? And so, we put these on and it held it up pretty decent. But they still wasn't strong. 4 of these wasn't strong enough to actually hold it up, but it held it. What it did is it made it very light to push up and down. And you still had to put something under them, and all I would have had to do is buy some stronger shocks, which they don't make these. They got this company that I found that do have some very strong ass shocks. So I had to do a switch over. Okay, and get some shocks that would have held it up. But these were doing pretty good until then. But what happened was this. Why this is happening, we don't know. Once we put those on, for some weird reason, it started pushing the hood over this way. And it wouldn't line up with the hood pins no more. And everything was straight, and we couldn't figure out why it was doing that, why it was pushing it over to the right, to the driver's side, to the point where it was missing the hood pins completely. It was like coming this far over from the hood pins. And, well, at first it wasn't doing that. At first it wasn't doing that. It was like a little bit off, just a little bit from the hood pins, but we were still able to get it down. So I had the hood lifted up down Advanced Auto Parts, giving out a demo, okay? And by the time I got done doing the demo and everything, it wouldn't shut no more. It had shifted, like I said, over this far. And then I was like, man, why won't it shut? And we couldn't figure it out. So I took the shocks off. Then it was back to being heavy again, but then it can shut. Y'all following me? And I was like, man, I don't understand why that's doing that. And me and one of the guys at Advanced, went to try to shift the hood back over. So what it technically did, and I didn't understand what it did at first, it actually had bent that hinge just putting on the shocks. From the passenger side to the driver's side, it just pushed it over for some weird reason. And then that hinge there started getting weak, the metal started getting weak. As you see, my boy Ben attempted to reinforce that the other day. And then we put the hood shocks back on, and guess what? It did the same thing. So I was like, man, well, see, the day that he was making those brackets there, you know, and we got it all done. We had shaved off some metal and everything from here because it wouldn't shut all the way, and we couldn't understand why it wouldn't shut and why it was doing what it was doing, man. So after yesterday, him trying to do what he did, man, and then when I found the company, I found this company, man. You see these things? These things right here can hold up 150 pounds each. No, 125 pounds each. A total of 250 pounds these things can hold. So I ended up ordering these, and yesterday, once he reinforced that over there, which it needs more reinforced, but he was talking about taking the hood off to do it, and I haven't had this hood off since 2017-18, and I don't know if it would come back off the same way it went on, unless he was to come up with making some new hinges himself. Now, I believe Ben could probably make something to make this thing stay in the position it's in. I'm pretty sure he could do that, but I got kind of frustrated, and when we went to put these on, they popped on, and one of these held that hood up. These things are a monster. And then we tried to push the hood down. And when we tried to push the hood down, it immediately bent that hinge over there. It bent it immediately. It bent it straight. And then we was having a problem again shutting it. And Ben went over there and hammered on it, and was able. And then we came to the conclusion that, well, this ain't gonna work. And he even talked about, well, we didn't try it, making the shots come this way instead of that way, you know what I mean? But we never tried that. So it's back to heavy again. It's back to heavy, you know what I mean? And I'm just like, so he came up with the idea, well, what we should do is try to find a junkyard that has the original 1984 Oldsmobile Delta 88 hood with the original springs. All right, I don't put no wood on top of it this time. He'll just he'll actually cut that hump off and then take some sheet metal and weld that hole closed. You know what I mean? And sand it and everything, and then it'll just be smooth, and it'll be the original springs that can hold it up. But we're gonna have to look for one at the junkyard. I'm sure some junkyard might have some Delta 88s down there, 84s, and we just get a hood, and all I gotta do is bed line it back to black and get the graphics back on it. And we'll be back to the regular kind of hood, but I'll keep the hood pins though. I won't have that latch. I'll tell them to remove that latch and keep the hood pins. You know what I mean? And do it like that. This is what we're thinking, unless one of you guys got an idea of what to do. Ben probably knows himself, because I don't know when or how long it's going to take to find a hood. Now I might just say, man, let's just take those off, and you create something else that will hold the back of this thing up, and it won't matter once we put some hood shocks on it. Then if he makes something, because he probably can make something strong, something very strong that can hold it. I'm pretty sure that. I just didn't give him the okay. So that's what I've been working on, and I'm going to show you something else I've been working on. So right now it's back to what it was, heavy as hell, and I'll deal with it. Because he wanted to take the whole hood off yesterday. I was like, man, and he probably would have came up with something. So this thing here is pretty good. This is nice enough. It shuts nice. Watch. Boom. So I ain't got to worry about that anymore. But I'm gonna show you guys something else real quick that I'm working on. All right, so y'all guys know the kind of starters There's original starters that's up under these old school cars. So I decided I want to get a, because my starters haven't been lasting long, and somebody told me because I'm running 15 volts, I don't know if that's true or not, but I want to show you guys something. They told me, Murray Automotive Electric told me if I got a high torque racing starter, okay, these are a whole lot better than them old school ones I was told. It's smaller, it's lighter, easier to deal with. You know how big them big starters are under their heavy, like 40 something darn pounds. Trying to put one of them on laying on the ground is hell to pay. I got a jack, but I don't have a lift. And for the last couple of days, I was putting out Ben, you know, and them guys, they went to put this on. I didn't know that you got to modify these things. This is for Oldsmobile, Pontiac, and Buick. And they make one of these for all cars. I mean, this is a pro form, but Summit makes them, Power Master makes them, they got different ones. And I had Murray Automotive Electric order me one. I don't know where they ordered it from because I didn't go see it. But then I turned around and found out that Advanced Auto Parts sell these Proform ones because I seen them sitting on the shelf for the Chevy. But this Oldsmobile, I had to order it, of course. And they give you one shim. As you see right there, there's shims in between them. Now, you got to shim these in order for this thing here, I forget what you call that, that shoots out and hits the flywheel and starts it. But this is the thing. Once they put this on, it would go out, hit the flywheel, and wouldn't come back. It starts screaming. And I'm sure a lot of you guys know what that is. It's screaming like hell. Yeah, it started it up, but it's screaming. Now, this is a 15-to-1 ratio. Yeah, these high torque starters, as soon as you touch them, they start up. I like that about them. That's why I wanted one of them. And they're supposed to be so much better than the ordinary ones. But this shaft here, Bendix, that's what it's called. The problem is these just don't, they're just not a plug and play. You just don't put them on and they automatically work. You got to shim them. That I didn't know. We threw it on and it, you know, it comes out pretty far just like the old school ones, but this is so much smaller. So, yeah, it was screaming, and then we threw the one shim on top. It comes with two shims to put on the top, and one of these shims here, and a circle shim. When you take this off, it goes inside. So that wasn't enough shimming, and they don't send you enough shims. But I just found out the Summit Racing do sell that kit because I couldn't find them. Advanced Auto Parts don't just sell them or wherever this came from, but we found them on Summit yesterday, and it was like hell to pay for the last few days because Ben and them tried to put them on, it didn't work, so I had to put the old one on, and then you figure, you know, the time it took for the mechanic to throw it on, you know, that's his hourly pay, and it had to come off, the shims go in and go back on, still didn't work with the shims. And that became a dilemma, which I didn't know that it wasn't going to work. I mean, it's plug and play, so it says it's for an Oldsmobile. So I went on and paid him for the guy's hourly so he could still get his hourly. I went on, man, because as it was, that was like a wasted time putting it on. And he was like, well, I can't charge you because it ain't work. It came off, and I would have felt some type of way paying for nothing. You know what I mean? You give somebody something, I think it's going to go on, I think it's going to work. No. So I went on YouTube to find out how you got to put these things on. And there was a whole, well, not a whole lot, but quite a few videos showing guys and that you got to shim them, and that this Bendix here, when it comes out, it's supposed to only go in between 50 and 60% of the flywheel. Not all the way into the flywheel, all the way past the flywheel. 50 to 60%. So it can shoot out and come right back out. So, Sunday, And Monday, yesterday, I jacked my car up in here and I decided because putting on a starter is not hard, but putting on a starter laying down on the ground is. If I had a jack, my fault, a lift, it would have been different. It's not hard, but it's super awkward. It's just awkward. It's awkward to get the wires on and yada, yada, yada. Especially with that big one, man. That big one is hell to pay. So I was like, this is smaller. This should be, this thing even fell. I thought I had the screws started, and I didn't, and it fell right on my head. It just fell right on my face, bro. Left a scar right on my forehead and all. This thing had me so damn mad under there. My brake line started leaking. I guess the way the car was lifted, the brake line started leaking. I'm leaking brake fluid and just a pain in the ass, bro. It just, I figured me put it on myself and I have all the time in the world to figure it out and to shove shims. So I had to go back to Advance, tell him I needed more shims. There was hardly not enough shims. He took 2 of the shims out of the Chevy box, which are the same shims. And I've seen the videos on, YouTube of what you're supposed to do, but now I realize I got to shim the hell out of this to get it to work on my car. You see how many shims? I got 5 shims under there, and then when you take this off here, the circle shims is like this. There's circle shims. They look like this. I got 5 of them dropped inside of here, 5 of them in here, and 5 of them there. That's 10 shims. And still, now, with it like this, it fires up, and when it engages, it fires up and don't make no noise until it tries to come back out now. When it goes to come back out, it makes a noise, but it doesn't go as long. It's about maybe 1.5 seconds of noise. And I was like, that's not bad, but it's still annoying. So I asked Ben, I was like, hey, can I get away with that? He was like, no, eventually the teeth is going to get wore out by doing that. So, but the problem is I got to put more shims. So I had to go on Summit and order 5 more packs of shims. I got to put more shims on because this Bendix here has to go in more. It has to go in more. It can't stick out like that. It's like it's 70 or 80% of the flywheel. It needs to be at 50%, like halfway into the flywheel. So I need to get it to go, get this to come out that way more. Like it's actually pushing. Yeah, I needed to do that. So this Bendix can go in there more and not be stuck out so far, because you should have seen how far it was stuck out before I put those shims in there. So it's not enough shims. I couldn't find them putting one in a Delta 88. I seen them putting them in Chevys and Fords and Camaros and stuff like that, but I couldn't find it on YouTube where they put it in a 1984 Oldsmobile. I couldn't find it. Now this car got a 350 in it. It originally had a 307. I don't know if the 307 was longer or not as, but nevertheless this is for an Oldsmobile, and it's a 15-to-1. They have an 11-to-1 too ratio. Okay, so once I get this to go that way more, so this can go that way more, so it can be more into there. Which the kits is going to come tomorrow. Maybe tomorrow evening I'm going to get back under there, put more shims in this. Take this off, put more shims in it, and sit there and look how far that Bendix is going in. And then get back under there and see if it works. If I put too many, then I'll just start taking one off at a time and climb back under there. And yeah, until I get it to stop screaming. It just go in, start it up, and stop. Once I can get it to do that, I'll be good. But these things do work on contact, though. That's what I wanted it to do. Work on contact immediately. Fire the car up without spinning. Just go in, start it up, quick. The response, super quick. All right? So, that's that, man. But I didn't know you had to modify these. I didn't know that. I thought it was plug and play. I got turned on. I got turned on by these by Murray Automotive Electric, actually. And I'd like to take a trip down there because that one that I ordered finally came in. I want to see what brand it is and how it technically looks, really. If it's a different kind of high torque starter, if it actually looks like my starter but smaller. Because if that's the way it is, then that's going to be a plug and play. So I'm curious. You know what I mean? So maybe tomorrow morning I might shoot down there super early in the morning, because they open up at 6 o'clock in the morning. I might shoot down there just to see what that actually looks like. If it looks like this. Because most of the high torque starters I've seen on YouTube looks like this. Okay, with that Bendix sticking out of there. When you put it side by side to my starter from front to back, I noticed that Bendix goes inside. Yeah, it goes inside. It doesn't poke out like that. And that's that, man. So I'm going to leave this sitting here, because tomorrow I'm getting those shims. Boy, I'm telling you. If it ain't one thing, it's another, man. You know, when it started getting frustrating like that, you know, on Monday I'm going to take this in and they're going to fix the brake line. Alright, fix the brake line. It's leaking. It's not leaking terrible. It's like, you know, when something's leaking and after like a week, because I filled it back up after I got done putting in that, trying out this darn starter, taking it out 3 or 4 times. And then with it up in the air, it really started leaking, and I just filled that reservoir back up and start pumping on the pedal to give it some pressure, because it was down to the floor. And I went to back my car out. The pedal went to the floor, and I was like, oh my God. But when I put fluid in and compressed on the pedal, it's been okay. And it still leaks, but it's not leaking crazy leaking. It's slow leaking, but it's leaking, and it's annoying. So I got to get it fixed. And I'm preparing. As you see, I have the, one of those manual washer pumps there that I mounted. I'm going to put on a toggle switch, man, because I'm going to put my windshield wiper mode. I got it where it doesn't have the delay on it, man. I just want to hit it with a switch, and it only has 2 speeds, bro, because it's vibrating and braking, and I'm tired of this. So I got a new one there. You know what I mean? So now I got to find out how to hook up one of those to a toggle switch. Some of you guys might know that too, for goodness sakes. So it's your boy, the OG, Soda Pop Kid. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night. I got me a well-deserved, went out and got me some bass. I haven't drove this car in 2 weeks. We were just sitting down there. I had to get out and drive it. I had to. All right, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night, and peace. I didn't know this video was going to take that long. I'm out.